control of every ostensibly representative government in the world. Section 3. Confirmability of election processes, responsibility for consequences thereof. To ensure enforceable integrity of elections and determinable responsibility for their effects. 1. Voting records shall be public, readily accessible, verifiable by all participants and affected parties, and permanent for either no less than 100 years or whatever extent they may remain of concern, whichever is greater. 1a. Willful destruction, alteration, or obstruction of such records or counts, or subversion of necessary processes shall be treason. 2. No act shall be submitted for evaluation or passage. No act shall stand, and no act shall be passed bearing a title, expressing, claiming, or aspiring to deliver anything beyond the demonstrated bounds and capabilities declared in its purpose and absolutely achieved by integrally declared means. 3. No vote shall be effective until fully verified. We're actually prescribing a process for elections which are verifiable by the public here. 3a. Unverifiable votes or elections shall count against all subject actions in elections. 4. A wholly public method of verification shall altogether comprise personal confirmation by each voter of public data reporting both the ballot and confirmations of each voter, with a collective vote of groups of no more than 5 voters, verified by personal interaction between each and every voter of each such base voter group, with each and every base group being a further member of however many necessary outer tier groups of no more than 5 groups, with so many outer tier groups as necessary accounting for the whole vote, with a randomly and alternately appointed captain of each and no more than 1 group, confirming the collective vote of the outer group to which their group belongs, from the total counts of each of the 5 comprising groups, with all affirmations being permanently recorded within the same body of a collective record, with exemplary technological tools capable of readily verifying the count being available to all, with the processing algorithm of a singular universal method of so doing being available to all, with any fault or inconsistency thereof invalidating the election and reversing any exercise of power or reward thereby, and with invalidation necessitating immediate rectification of all faults and immediate reperformance of the election or validation processes as will reflect public intent without error or omission. 4a. No method of election shall overrule the popular vote of any locale, nor shall it exclude anyone from preserving vital rights, regardless of age, if sufficient capability to understand and to express opposition to potential infringement can be demonstrated. This gives us verifiable elections in which people have no more than 5 things within a group and 1 thing without the group to verify. 6 questions to answer in a few minutes by computer processes which we can provide online, and the records remain permanently available to all people. No such thing as subversion of elections any longer. We could have done this a long time ago. Why are the governments of the world dragging their feet on this? Because they desire to abuse power. Section 4. Election, expulsion, and crimes of office. Every reasonable aspect of the expectable integrity of appeals, promises, or actions of candidates, elected officers, agents, acts, and propositions shall be enforceable. No more false promises to the people. 1. The purposes and means of any advocated act, office, or existent action shall be bereft of evasion, shall be fully qualified by sufficiently complete, comprehensive, and contractual documentation, and thus the promises of candidates, elected officers, agents, and advocates shall be inviolable, lawful obligations. 1a. Shall further perfection of advocated purposes or means be sufficiently demonstrated, differing advocates must immediately either withdraw contest or formally and officially concur in the more accountable proposition. In other words, if someone disproves that the Federal Reserve Act could serve us, the proposition must be withdrawn. Shall further perfection of advocated purposes or means be sufficiently demonstrated, differing advocates must immediately either withdraw contest or formally and officially concur in the more accountable proposition. And any such officer or an enactment, having sought or advocated a demonstrated imperfection, must survive in an immediate vote of confidence by a lawful majority, the failure of which shall immediately expel responsible officers and their administrators from office. 1b. Demonstration of violated promise or failed duty shall immediately expel officers, agents, and their administrators from office or agency. All related actions shall be null, void, and rectified, and all resistance, delay, or attempt to evade expulsion on the part of affected officers or agents and their subordinates shall be severe criminal transgression of this act. 1c. No officer, agent, or subordinate so expelled from office, except subordinates who willfully signal the fact of transgression, may seek or occupy office or agency in any capacity of government again, and all further benefits or compensation for their former duties shall be forfeited. 1d. Evasion of reasonable accountability in either the pursuit or the performance of office or agency, being adverse to the very purposes of just government, shall be severe criminal transgression of this act. 2. The office of President shall be filled only by a candidate eventually winning both a national majority of the entire national populace of lawful voting age, including unexercised votes, and by a majority of states, provinces, or territories, if any, or the respective equivalent, by majorities of the entire respective populace of lawful voting age, including unexercised votes. 3. Official administrative positions of the executive office shall be publicly confirmed and periodically reaffirmed at intervals of no more than 4 years by both a national majority of the entire national populace of lawful voting age, including unexercised votes, and by a majority of states, provinces, or territories, if any, or the respective equivalent, by majorities of the entire respective populace of lawful voting age, including unexercised votes. 3a. Failure to pass affirmation or reaffirmation shall immediately expel the unapproved officer and preclude any further activity akin to ostensible service. 4. Federal court appointments shall be publicly confirmed and periodically reaffirmed at intervals of no more than 4 years by both a national majority of the entire national populace of lawful voting age, including unexercised votes, and by a majority of states, provinces, or territories, if any, or the respective equivalent, by majorities of the entire respective populace of lawful voting age, including unexercised votes. 4a. Failure to pass affirmation or reaffirmation shall immediately retire the unapproved justice and necessitate comprehensive review of related decisions sufficient to rectify any transgression or injustice precipitated or participated by the subject officer. 5. The legislatures of related authority shall determine procedures for unmet election standards and for replacement or non-replacement of expelled officers, sufficing to fulfill government responsibilities in all cases of necessity, all of which procedures and eventual consequences of either filling or vacating offices shall be subject to effective and timely means of public affirmation and reaffirmation by no less than a majority of the entire affected populace, including unexercised votes. 6. The duties, powers, and purposes of all offices, of all administrators thereof, and of all agencies shall be strictly confined to their defined bounds, and to offer, to negotiate, or to accept permission, reward, promise, or future award in regard to exercise or potential exercise of power, influence, or ostensible authority of office beyond official lawful salaries, or to serve any cause beyond the common and formally established purposes of the people, shall be severe criminal transgression of this act. In other words, no more special interest lobbying. 7. To obstruct, to impede, or to deny any legitimate attempt to enforce election or administrative integrity shall be severe criminal transgression of this act. All severe criminal transgressions are defined in the end of this act as treason.